Hello, my name is Jeremy Bramwell, and welcome to our video on why a completed benchmark analysis is critical. First of all, what is the benchmark analysis or benchmark report, otherwise known as a Schedule A? Well, very simply, it is the summary of everything that is presented in the depreciation report. There's two parts to the benchmark report. So let's look at the physical side first. That's the year of acquisition, the expected lifespan, the effective age, the remaining lifespan, the unit quantity, and the unit of measure. All of these were discussed in previous videos. Common problems we see in the benchmark report, otherwise called the Schedule A, is the failure to put in data for the date of acquisition. The problem is if the age is not provided, confirmation cannot be completed by the Strata Council when they're reviewing the report. We see lifespans put in a range, not a set number. For example, we see 25 to 30 years, not 27. As the age is not provided, confirmation again cannot be completed. Failure to put in remaining lifespan. This is usually done in lifespan as a range. So again, confirmation cannot be completed. This is one of the big tasks of the Strata Council when they get the report, as we'll discuss earlier in the draft meeting, is to confirm all this data. Then sometimes we get a negative remaining lifespan. This is a result of not doing condition analysis and just letting the computer run. Negative numbers are not allowed in a depreciation report. Another problem we run into is the failure to put in the number of units, so the quantity can't be measured. The other big issue is not to put in the unit of measurement. In other words, the number of windows or square feet, this sort of thing. Sometimes different people put in the same thing different ways. For example, suite doors, most people put down the number of doors, but architects talk about the square feet of doors. Again, this is a big issue. Now, you might have noticed we talk about grouping or bunching. So let's talk about grouping or bunching. Components are separated by use, cost, and lifespan. If they have the same use, like the doors all here do, but they have a different cost or lifespan, they're given a different line. They're all separated in the report. If they're bunched together, they will be expensed at a period before or after certain components in the doors category are normally expected to be replaced. That means that if they're bunched, there may not be enough money when required, resulting in, again, unexpected special levies. So let's go through the financial side. So this is the unit cost as of the date of the report, the current replacement cost, the future replacement cost. This is the cost to replace at the projected year of replacement. The current reserve fund requirement, or the CRFR, that would be the amount that would have to be in the CRF if you were fully funded. The future reserve fund accumulation, which is the CRFR adjusted by inflation that would have to be in the CRF if it was fully funded. Also, the future reserve fund requirement. This is the amount required to be saved in the CRF in the future, adjusted for inflation to pay for replacements if it was fully funded. And lastly, the reserve fund annual contributions if it was fully funded. The mathematics behind this, as you can see, all assume that fully funding, although no depreciation report consultant will ever suggest that you be fully funded. So common problems that we see on the financial side is the construction inflation rate assumption is the same as the investment interest rate assumption. We discussed this in an earlier video. This is known as 2 and 2 in the industry. We see this a lot with the provider lets the client choose the CIR or the IIR. This always leads to the CIR being too low and the IIR being too high. The funding principles state that the CIR and the IR have to be stable. So changing over time is unreasonable. We sometimes see this where there's a change in the construction inflation rate or the investment interest rate over time. We really see this in the investment interest rate. There is no scope of expertise. You'd really be looking in a crystal ball. It doesn't allow for proper financial modeling if any of these two change over time. Any incomplete physical data makes the financial analysis unreliable, as nothing can be firmed or isolated to a single year for proper analysis. This is where you have a physical data component missing, and what happens is it makes the financial analysis incomplete. I feel this is done in a lot of cases to make the strata come back to the provider, as the lack of transparency means another provider will have to get the measurements all over again. And again, it's a more expensive report to do a comprehensive first report than it is to go and back and do it again the second time. It also means that the data cannot be analyzed in a meaningful manner other than dollars. Grouping or bunching makes the financial analysis unreliable. And the threshold level for exclusion is based on an arbitrary level that is too high for the specific complex, underestimating the CRF expenses. We talked about the threshold level in earlier videos. This is the level where it's excluded from the depreciation report because it's so low that it normally would be handled within the operating budget. So why care about the benchmark report or the Schedule A? An incomplete benchmark report or Schedule A shows a lack of transparency, and the depreciation report is essentially incomplete. Depreciation reports, despite any funding model that if a corporate model or if they use a model within standards, can be analyzed to calculate the reserve adequacy or percent funded only with a complete benchmark report. This is absolutely critical for stratas to understand. As lenders become more aware of this analysis method, depreciation reports that cannot be analyzed to these standards may have problems getting financing in the future, or stratas will be asked for new or corrected reports. Again, this will cost an additional cost to the strata, where they should have been able to get it with the depreciation report the first time. Also, insurers, as they understand this, may have additional insurance premium reminders until reports are clear for them to do analysis. We hope you enjoyed this video. Strata Reserve Planning is one of BC's oldest and largest depreciation providers, with offices in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver Island, and the Columbia, Shuswap, Okanagan area. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email at clientcare@stratareserveplanning.com, or go to our YouTube channel, which is Reserve Planning, and subscribe to the video to get more videos in the future. Thank you very much, and have a good day.